Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Fuel the Conversation, a podcast for fuel people by the fuel people. My name is Freddie Riddler, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Kyle Sheehan. Kyle, welcome back to the RCC world. Baby's done, back to reality. Man. You look like you haven't slept in a while, but that's all right.
Me and my wife talk quite a bit about this. This is probably going to be the last child. We have 2 boys and a girl now, and that seems like a perfect family. So I take everything. It makes it all so much easier. So you finally look at that and you go, man, this is probably the last first for this experience. So that's a bittersweet kind of thing going on there. And also, if anybody's out there and has children, if you had 2, the third one, you're all of a sudden you're outnumbered. You take a kid home and you're outnumbered. It's 3 against 2, and that's a change in lifestyle and something I was not prepared for when I was entering into child number 3.
But you got 2 boys and 1 girl. So When the 1 girl is a handful, just remember the 2 boys in my family, same thing. 1 girl gets a little bit too much. I got the boys that back me up. So awesome. And congratulations, Kyle. It's really exciting to have your family grow with the business. So
yes.
Cool.
And who are we with today? I recognize the face. I recognize the voice. I'm excited that we have Jerry Schimmel with P3 on with us today. Jerry,
Vice President of Sales, Jerry Schimmel. And Jerry, you're going to introduce yourself and what you do, but don't forget about where it all started, because it wasn't with Kyle or myself. Jerry, welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, thank you, Freddie. I'm pleased to participate in your podcast series, and I'm the Vice President of Sales for P3 Propane Safety, based out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And my primary responsibility is managing our sales consultants out in the field, and we continue to grow, and we're about to make an offer to an additional individual. So it's an exciting time for us at P3. We continue to grow and expand, and the industry is really recognizing what we do and accepting it with arms wide open.
Awesome. And Jerry, we'll get into the details of P3 and the propane safety, but it all kind of starts with the integration. And with RCC, there's always that integration with another vendor. And, there's a lot out there, but what we look for is what are we missing? What's the question? What's the solution we can provide for that end user? And when these integrations fall into my hands or Tom's hands, we have to go to our leadership team. And Kyle, I'm gonna shoot this over to you. What is that process before we get to Jerry and what he all does with that solution he's offering for our customers? What does that process look like when we say P3 would like to integrate with Rural Computer Consultants?
So, of course, in our 40-year history as a software vendor in the energy and propane market, there's been a lot of opportunities for us and opportunities we can give to other companies based off of our user base to provide services and integrations that maybe RCC does not offer. Maybe the market changed a bit and another vendor came in and offers a service that we feel would benefit our user base. So the very first step in any process like that is an introduction to companies, right? And it's coming over, chatting with us in our booth in Nashville, Atlanta, the Southeast show. It's coming into trade shows and meeting each other. And then it's setting up meetings between ownership and the decision makers of each company. That's a big thing. And part of that is introduction of companies. What do you guys do? What do we do as a company? What's our philosophy in business and how we want to provide services to our user base? And then after those introductions, we really take a step back as a company and look and go, is this going to benefit our user base? Does it provide a service that is not currently offered within our package or offered in the industry in general? Is this going to revolutionize how we provide software and services to our customer base, or does it fill a need out there that we don't fill right now? If those check boxes are all checked off and we have internal discussions, we go, yep, this is something we need. And a lot of times leadership at companies don't don't see eye to eye on things, right? Especially being in a family business, you have arguments with each other. You see things from different perspective and different lights. And every now and then the group makes a decision, and you might not be a part of that decision that says, yes, I really wanted to do that, but you go forward with it anyway. And at the end, RCC, we always say we're a family business. When we walk out of those doors at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if me and Freddie swore at each other that day, if we yelled at each other, if we threw a book at each other, if we chased each other around the conference table. When we walk out of that, at the end of the day, we're friends and we're family still. That doesn't bleed over into the next day. If all those boxes are marked off, we start the process with that vendor of talking, well, what does the API entail? How much work is it from your side? How much work is it from our side? Once we kind of start that process going, then we start talking into how do we market to our customer base? How do we introduce this new model? What versions does it come out in? Are there any prerequisites that you have to go through? And when you're working with two vendors like this that are very closely intertwined and intertangled, it's what does the sales process look like? Who does the customer contact? Who do they work through? Is it simply RCC isn't involved at all and you go specifically through Jerry? Is it, nope, Jerry, you got to involve us too a little bit because we have to talk to the customer and make sure they have what they need to make this successful? Once all those are done, we start to develop and time out our phases, right? Because some things are simple. Some things are one and done. You do it, you get it out there, it's available, and you step away. Other things, there might be, hey, in order to get the basics of what a third party wants, it's going to come out as that's going to be a phase one. And by the way, that in their initial fact finding, we might find that, hey, Jerry comes to us and says, but by the way, we have these extra features available. And we look at that and go, well, that's quite a bit of time from our standpoint. Maybe we satisfy the initial need. And then at that point, once it's out there and through beta testing and out in the world, we look and go, well, what's a phase 2 look like? What are we going to go on to next? What's a phase 3 look like? Right? How do we continue to enhance and improve our partnership and offer additional services to our user base that are beneficial to both parties?
So Jerry, Kyle kind of went through all those different phases there. Step us through the very part of that conversation is, where did this all come from? Like, where is their first interaction with RCC?
My first interaction with RCC essentially was with a red-haired gentleman that I met way back when, approximately 10 years ago. And he accused me of talking funny because I'm from New England. And I tried to understand what all this excitement was about walleye fishing. But Tom Neubauer is one of the first guys that I met in this industry. And I was actually fortunate to meet Tom at several conferences and conventions. Even had the opportunity to meet his lovely wife, Tracy. And we started a friendship and a relationship. And that's gone on for 10 years. And, the relationship it hasn't necessarily gone in the direction I was hoping it was going to go, because we actively wanted to engage with RCC and patience and persistence made the most sense. And it's not like I didn't see Tom or Freddie or even Kyle. We all know that we're out there in the industry trying to do our things. But Tom, quite frankly, the Tom and Jerry thing, it was an actual, for those of you who are younger or older, it was a cartoon show, and the mouse. Jerry was the mouse, and so just so you know, the mouse was a lot faster than the cat. But Tom has a love for lobster in New England, and I have a love for sweet corn. And as a gesture of his appreciation of our friendship, he actually, a couple of years ago, sent me, unbeknownst to me, I got this package, and I thought it was Omaha Steaks, but it was a box of corn that I believe got delayed in travel and ended up being extremely warm corn, which I could not enjoy. Therefore, Tom is yet to receive a lobster from New England.
That warm aroma of sweet corn is not a good thing. If anyone wants to know, it doesn't smell good. So I remember the first time I met you, Jerry, Tom says, we're going to take Jerry out. And that's where I started making fun of him, like, oh, it's the Tom and Jerry dinner tonight. And I met you, and I found out what you did a little bit. And Tom has been talking about what P3 Propane does, and it's patience and persistence, because we heard our customers kind of say there was a lack in safety and forms. We offered a solution, just not in depth of a one that you provided. And up until last year, in Kyle's example, all those boxes were checked. Jerry, what services does P3 Propane Safety provide that's going to provide for RCC for the users going, I'm still not quite sure what P3 Propane Safety is. Give us that pitch. What is that box that you had to check in Kyle's example?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about our company first, and then our focus here is on our relationship with our primary product line, which is the P3 compliance system, which is obviously a mobile platform. But as a company, we're kind of unique. We've developed a variety of products and services and programs that are all considered risk mitigation products, specifically designed for the propane industry. So, excuse me, we have the P3 compliance system, which I'll elaborate on. We have our duty to warn mailing service. Both of those programs are endorsed by the NPGA. They have been for almost 5 years now, and we're the number one provider of the consumer safety mailing program in the industry. In addition to that, under that same P3 umbrella, we have a consulting services division, which is comprised of 3 safety consultants with over 30 years experience each, and they're actively out in the field providing CTEP training. And we're also involved in a lot of the compliance documentation. We write policy and procedure manuals for companies. We do OSHA emergency action plans. We do HAZCOM plans. We write operations and maintenance manuals, fire safety analysis manuals, hazmat security plans, et cetera. So there's a lot that we provide to our customer base. And then over here on the side, we have another whole platform, which my colleague Michelle focuses on at the state associations, which is a program called Generation Next. And that's meant to help in workforce development to supply technicians and drivers to the propane industry. So that's kind of an overview of what we do as a company with regards to propane.
Awesome. And Kyle, this question's for you. So we had the relationship, we checked all the boxes. We're starting phase 1. We have a couple phases left, 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. But what does it take now to continue this healthy business relationship, the communication? What does it take? What's going to be on your plate, or RCC's plate, I should say, to continue this growth?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there, it comes down to communication, where we both have our own timelines. We both have our goals of where we want the business to go. And sometimes when we're working on those timelines, we realize that we make changes that impact one another. So being very communicative when it comes down to, hey, here's a change that you guys might like, or hey, due to out in the world and in today's day and age, security and hacking and all of those are big ticket items. And working in a software and technology area where you're passing information between platforms, there are things that will impact us that both myself, RCC, and Jerry and P3 are not in control of, that we have to become compliant with. So working together on those things. And, a lot of times we will hear about that from a vendor, go, hey, did you hear this new policy or this new law coming out? It's going to impact us, right? So sharing that back and forth is a big piece. We see each other a lot on our sales circuits. The propane industry is an amazing industry to be a part of, and it's also a small industry to be a part of when you look at it. We see Jerry, probably 6 to 8 times a year, right? And all the different things that overlap and we are together with. So that's really where a lot of this information comes out. And it's part of why I love this industry, is a lot of this is still face-to-face interaction. We do have tools that make this virtual that allow us to do these things and have calls throughout the year when they're needed. But a big part of this industry is sitting down together, and whether that's a 15-minute interaction in our booth when the shows are wrapping up, of just going over and say, hey, how's it going? How are you doing?
Or a podcast.
Or a podcast together, or whatever else that might be. That's a huge information gathering space for us. And a lot of times what comes out of that is, okay, hey, let's set up a meeting for that. That topic is really good. We love what you're doing over there. You introduced a new product to the world, and we're interested to start down that path. So a lot of times that's an initial discussion that branches off into multiple conversations, multiple meetings, multiple team members involved. But the conversation happened for 15 minutes on a trade show floor in Charlotte.
Yep. So, I think a lot of our listeners, viewers, however they stream this or listen to it, what can they expect? And this is both of you can answer this question. What can they expect with this integration from an RCC side to a P3 side? What pieces are we going to be dangling in front of them saying, here's a solution to what problem?
So Jerry,
I'll start with you, Kyle.
I'm going to let Jerry talk first, and then I'm going to tell Jerry what I'm really excited to offer to our user base. But Jerry has his list. Let go for it, Jerry.
Yeah.
So the answer to that, Freddie, it's a complicated thing. So let's think about the evolution of P3. It was basically a result of fuel oil dealers that we have another product for came to us because they wanted to become dual fuel operators and they wanted to get into propane. They really didn't understand all of the documentation, the code, regulations, requirements, etc. And so they came to us, and we put together a group of industry experts, including legal counsel, operations managers, general managers, service technicians, insurance providers, etc. And we essentially took the gas check program, which started in 1985, which is a series of paper forms that you can still purchase today. And we took that and we closed the doors for 2 weeks. We dissected it and we put it through a metamorphosis, and we came out with the P3 compliance system. So we took all of those forms, reviewed them, and we recreated them. And now we're at the point where everything is done in a digital format. But if you think about paper forms that are being done in the field, the problem is 30+% of those forms that are completed out in the field, they are inaccurate, incomplete, or out of compliance. And whenever you have paperwork involved with humans in different conditions, you're going to have accuracy, legibility issues. There's going to be a lot of factors that come to place. P3 solves that problem. And today, if you're a P3 user, you're using our system that has all of our forms and all of our information on a tablet. And it can be used on a Mogo tablet. And quite frankly, you're able to pull up an account and complete whatever form needs to be completed. It could be a safety inspection form, an interruption of service, a cathodic inspection, a DOT cylinder inspection. There's a variety of forms, and we track all of the tank assets. But more importantly, as you're using this form live in the field, it'll stop you from leaving something inaccurate, or something that's not complete, or you didn't put in a serial number on the regulator. Oh, by the way, this tank, this DOT tank is expired, needs to be visually inspected. So the data that goes in creates a variety of compliance reporting, which is really a critical piece to the marketer. And one of the other key features is we train service technicians and drivers to take photos, 4 to 5 photos of a tank set or service work to complying with 54 and 58. So now for the first time, a manager has the ability to see the work that's being done in the field, and that shows up on a dashboard along with all of that other information. So in real time, the manager can review the work that's been done in the field. He can review it, he can approve it, or he can flag it for, a potential safety issue or concern. So there's a lot of features, and what's nice about our program, as we continue to evolve, all of these changes that we make are a direct result of feedback and input from our clients. And, we have a new feature coming out that we believe is going to be very well received, because it already has been by a lot of the multi-location marketers, is bulk plan inspections. So that's being rolled out this month, and that's another exciting piece. But essentially what the system does is it allows you to manage your safety documentation and compliance data effectively and efficiently. And the only way we can do that is if we have a strategic relationship and a partnership with the back office software company to integrate.
Yep.
That didn't seem complicated.
It's kind of long-winded, but I could go on and on. But I'm trying to be aware of time constraints.
Yeah. So, I mean, from RCC standpoint, my standpoint, I'm really excited to offer our customers a scalable product. Is really what this comes down to. It's going to benefit a single user up to a 500 user company, and regardless of where you're at in growth of your business, the number one thing in our industry is safety and protecting your livelihood, your family, and your business. The last thing you want is one hiccup of something that you might not even cause to come back onto you and wind up in litigation and court processes, which is, regardless of how you shape it and how you cut it, it's an expensive process, even if you're innocent. So going through those and offering that to our customer base to say, here's something that you guys can use as tools to protect you, to protect your families, is huge from our regard. We've had safety checks and imaging and documentation and picture taking within RCC for many years, because we came from a family business that was running a propane company, and we saw that need, and we needed to protect our family members. So this allows us to build upon those foundations that RCC has offered for years. And one of the areas that Jerry said that I absolutely love, and I believe is one of the key parts of their product. And when they say, well, why do I need P3 when RCC has those things? Jerry mentioned they have the accountability within their package that says, you entered this wrong, you missed this information, you missed this picture. Those are things that, as a back office software provider, when we go to our users and say you should do it, doesn't necessarily mean that Joe Blowout in Minnesota is going to do those things. So having that ability within P3 offered within the back office package is going to be phenomenal for our user base. And phase one for this package of just sending customer information down is just step one. We have so many more exciting ideas and things that have been discussed, and including, Jerry mentioned it briefly, adding those forms into Mogo, ability to link directly to P3. Mogo technicians doing all the invoicing out in the field. P3's handling all the safety things and making sure they're doing it right. So I absolutely love that for our user base.
I'm excited. Go
Kyle,
ahead, Jerry.
you mentioned something about insurance, and I just want to elaborate on that. We have very strong relationships with insurance companies, because for the most part, we're actually an extension of what they're trying to do. Everything we're doing is a risk mitigation product. We have special arrangements with some of the largest insurance providers in the industry for our duty to warn service, for our P3 program, and that's really exciting because they've recognized if their clients use our products, that their risk profile is significantly better. We had a situation where we were reviewing some photos, and there was a tank set done, series of photos taken. Everything was dated, timed, and stamped in the system, approved by the manager. And 6 months later, that same company was asked to go to the home and install some fireplace logs out in the yard or something. The homeowner came running out. He was all excited. I got to show you guys what we did. And he brought him over to the tank, and he literally bought a generator at Home Depot and hooked it up himself 4 feet from the tank, which obviously is a direct violation. It's locked out. It's tagged out. We got a picture of it, and he's on notice. Nothing's going to get delivered till he gets fixed. But that's happening all over this industry. It's easy for people to get equipment and try to be innovative and creative. And, you might be able to get away with that in different fuels, but you can't make mistakes in propane.
No, and that's part of our industry too of branding as a green energy, is branding as a resource that can get or bridge our gap between to whatever green agenda we have, and that's something that as an industry we have to all pay attention to, in that we have to be that voice. And Jerry and P3, you guys do an amazing job of protecting that for a lot of companies out there that are having those conversations and battling those DIY projects at home, where it's not just as simple as plugging this into your wall, right? There are rules and regulations to keep you safe and your environment safe, and you guys are doing a great job at that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Kyle, thanks again for being the host of it. Great information. And if you need any information about P3 or Jerry, how can they get a hold of you?
We can go right to our website, www.p3propane.com.
Awesome. And if you have any questions on RCC's end, sales@rccbi.com. We'll be happy to talk to you about the integration we have with P3. Other than that, thank you so much, Jerry, Kyle, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Kyle and Freddie's podcast, Fuel the Conversation.
A podcast for fuel people by fuel people. We really hope you enjoyed today's topics and you found them interesting, and we hope that you pulled some value out of our conversation today.
To hear more podcasts from Kyle, myself, and special guests, you can catch us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or the iTunes Store.
To find out more information on RCC, you can visit our website, www.rccbi.com. You can also find us on Facebook under Rural Computer Consultants, also under LinkedIn under Rural Computer Consultants, or go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter at RCCInc79.
If you'd like to contact us directly, email us at sales@rccbi.com.
This is Kyle signing off.
And this is Freddie.
Until next time.